Well, more American icons are the victim of cancel culture. The latest is the 28th president of the United States. As CNN reports, Princeton University will remove Woodrow Wilson's name from public policy school and residential college because of Wilson's racist thinking and policies. And according to our count, there are at least 17 other schools and at least 28 other memorials named after Wilson. But wait, there's more, of course. In Orange County, California, Democrats want to have John Wayne's name and statue removed from the airport that bears his name because of racist and bigoted comments that he made in a 1971 interview. It just seems like there's something new every day, doesn't it? Well, joining us to discuss is our company, former CNN brand journalist and media analyst Heidi Collins, and Republican strategist and former assistant administrator at the Small Business Administration under President Trump, Holly Turner. Ladies, welcome. You're matching.
Hi, Lindsay.
Yes, we are. Planned that.
That's great. You got the memo. I didn't. Well, this is kind of interesting here because when you look at Woodrow Wilson, I want to parse him out just for a minute. He did a lot of good things. Under his presidency, women got the right to vote. He led us through World War I as well and created the League of Nations, which he also won a Nobel Peace Prize for. And so my question to you, Heidi, is how much do we just have to start taking the bitter with the sweet and realizing that some of these great figures did wonderful things, but they also have a lot of negative that come with them as well?
It's called history, right? I mean, you take the good with the bad. You don't really get to choose one side or the other. I mean, he also established the Federal Reserve, the FTC. We could go on and on. But, you know, you mentioned all of these other buildings or places that have his name attached. I mean, last week, I think we were attacking Francis Scott Key and the Star Spangled Banner. I went to the University of Maryland. There's the Francis Scott Key building, which interestingly houses the Department of History and the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So it's this slippery slope where do we stop, where does it end, and where do we decide that the good outweighs the bad, so we should keep these people and their names amongst the conversation.
You know, Holly, President Wilson actually resegregated a lot of the federal systems, even the Treasury, and that's what people are really frustrated at. Obviously, that was not a good thing, but how much should it be as calling out, hey, this was negative, but also he was our president and moved us forward in many ways, and highlighting the negative and the good?
Yeah, I mean, look, any president, any leader, anyone that's done anything great in our history, our global history, they're going to have done some things that were not good. I mean, when we think back to even stories from the Bible and we think about David and things like that, I mean, these are flawed men, they're human beings. And for us to throw everything out that they've done is terrible. And look, it's not real. This is something that the other side is doing just to create more divisiveness in our country. The only thing that's ironic, I think, in the Woodrow Wilson example is that he was a Democrat. And those policies and those beliefs that he had were prevalent in the Democratic Party for years, for decades and decades. And so for this to be turned into something that's, about Republicans, I just hope that this is an opportunity for, the country to see, look, this was more on the Democrat side, and it's time for us to all move forward.
You know, Heidi, you said the word history, and it's interesting because Lindsay, I think, was getting to this in her question, but there's that old saying that those who fail to read history are doomed to repeat it. And if we get rid of all of these folks and take away all the icons and things, then we're also not learning from the mistakes that they made, because we're just going to get rid of them and people don't learn and say, okay, what did Wilson do that was good, but what did he do that was bad? And I think you guys have both mentioned this. There's good people that do bad things, and we need to kind of maybe use this as an opportunity to teach people that they did some bad things, they did some good things, and that we don't want to do the bad things over again. But if we get rid of all of these things and try to create a country or a world where no one sees the bad, my concern is that at some point we're going to repeat it because we haven't shown people what we've learned from people's mistakes and their wrongdoings.
Well, I agree 100%. And not only could we potentially repeat it, like, what sort of world will we be living in? Some sort of fake world or some sort of fake utopia where nobody ever did anything wrong? I mean, actually, if we can get to that, hey, sign me up, because I'd love to live there. But it's not real. It's not historical. And we are not perfect, and no one is. To me, it really doesn't seem that difficult to understand that we wouldn't want to erase the bad moments and only keep the good. It's like believing your own press. You know, if you've become a star or something and you read all of the tweets and whatever, you just only believe the good stuff about you, and then you're a rock star.
Well, I try to do that often. Although sometimes the tweets are a little overwhelming and, you know, can't help but sneak a bad one in. Holly, they're now John Wayne's the next target. I honestly, until this happened, I didn't realize that he had ever said anything inappropriate. And I guess this goes to the same example. Like, at what point there's something in everybody, I'm sure, where they've made a mistake or said something inappropriate. And at what point do we sort of, where's the balance?
Yeah, and let's not forget, too, that this was this is an article written in Playboy, nonetheless, that, you know, we don't have the full context of the conversation. This was just one snippet that was pulled out and put into this article. So I want to make sure we all understand that. But second of all, if we are really going to judge everyone in the past through today's lens, then Joe Biden and some of his fellow Democrats need to be prepared to have the same treatment, because it's not going to be pretty for them if we start looking at some of Joe Biden's policies and some of the policies from the Democratic Party through today's lens, which is very enlightened and progressive. It's not going to look good for them. So before we go too far down that road, we need to think about what the results are going to be of that for them.
You know, Holly, you just actually undermined one of the greatest myths going, that guys read Playboy for the articles, because if it's taken us 50 years to read a comment that Wayne made in 1971, that just killed the whole argument that men were making for decades. So we just killed two things at once.
Solving a lot of issues.
Solved another one. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we're not the only ones talking about cancel culture. You at home are as well. And we'll talk about what you have to say when we return.